Hey Andrew, what's up, Avery? How you doing, man?
Hey, good buddy. How are you?
Not too bad, Andrew. Andrew, I want to bring on talk a little Flames. Before we get into the Flames talk, man, what do you do after the morning show? What are you doing right now, Andrew?
What do I do after the morning show?
Yes.
Well, it's different seasons, I guess. During hockey season, there's a lot of naps that go on, and then during the summer, during the summer is a good time because the show ends at 10, and it's already light when you get up at 4, so you don't feel as tired. And then it's for me anyway. It's kind of straight to the golf course at noon, or you hit up a patio. The brief summer we get, I really enjoy it.
No, you're lucky because we can't golf here in Edmonton. We're still covered in snow, so I can't. I'm in the golf course yet at all, Andrew. So you're lucky,
No,
man.
well, no, me neither. Yeah, me neither. But they're opening up right now, and hopefully in the next week or two. Usually, as you know, like Masters after the Masters on Sunday, you kind of kick it into high gear a little bit.
No, of course, most definitely, man. Of course, I said bring you on to have a little Flames talk, and I guess right now it's been a very trying year for the Calgary Flames, dealing away the face of the franchise, Jerome McGinley, and now trading away Jay Bomeister. Mika Kiprusoff has hinted at retirement. Is this team now in a rebuild? Even though Jay Feaster doesn't want to call it a rebuild now, Andrew.
It's a full fledged rebuild, 100%. There's no other. You don't have to call it that, but that's what it is. You can't change facts, and it's you're based up in Edmonton, and it is amazing the parallels between what the Oilers went through post 2006 and what the Flames are currently going through. And this is identical to the Oilers in 2007. They offer sheeted Thomas Vanek. These guys offer sheeted Ryan O'Reilly. Ryan Smith and Jerome McGinley, were both fan favorites and traded for almost the identical return. Oilers had 3 first-round picks in 2007. Flames have 3 first-round picks this year. It's crazy, and I think both teams hung on too long, and certainly Calgary is just on the precipice of what is going to be probably a 3 or 4 year process.
No, I have to agree with you on that. And you through the process, if Kiprusoff does decide that this year is his final year in the NHL, who do you think can replace him? Is it Joey McDonald next year, or do you try and bring Laurent Brossoit up earlier? Is he ready? You think after he's done with the Oil Kings to make his debut in the league, or he still needs some more time? Do you think in the WHL, Andrew?
Yeah, I don't think Brossoit is close. I think with the Flames, the key element now is to not rush guys. I think you're already seeing with Sven Berchi that good players take some time. I mean, not everybody is a Taylor Hall or a Jordan Everly that's just gonna step in. And the longer you keep guys down, if you're not ready to compete, the cheaper you keep their salaries and all that. We heard Johnny Gaudreau today is going to spend another year at Boston College. Best thing that could happen to the Calgary Flames, in my opinion. But for the goalies, yeah, I think Brossoit is not going to be in the equation right now. I don't think they know they're stockpiling Joey McDonald. I think they're going to try to re-sign. He's a real decent backup goaltender, and on a young rebuilding team, I think he can definitely play a role. Whether or not Kipper comes back, I think they're going to try and get Kerry Ramo over here. I think they're going to try and maybe give Danny Taylor a look. I think they're trying to, they're going to try to get Reed O'Fara over to North America. That's the goaltender they got in the Jay Bomeister deal, and it's impossible to quantify exactly which one of those guys is going to take the ball and run with it, and that's why they're stockpiling right now. So whether Kipper retires or not, it's going to be an interesting look at training camp next season.
Right, you mentioned goaltending. I mean, with me Kiprusoff, you see now that he's starting to break down more and more because the trend was, have him play 65, 70 games. Is that something the Flames can do in the future more often? Will they have to eventually split starts more often because you can't have a goalie playing 60 games every year because you've seen Kiprusoff kind of bit them in the backside later on in his career, Andrew.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's been. What do you do though, right? He's been remarkably durable,
Right.
and maybe that's the difference. You see the odd guy go until 39, 40 years of age. And what's the difference between Mika Kiprusoff, who seems to be fading at 36, and a Martin Brodeur, who is still the guy in New Jersey. And Brodeur has played a lot of games. Dwayne Rollison, went until he was in his 40s, but at the same time, in the front half of his career, he didn't play a whole lot, right? Because he split a lot of time with Manny Fernandez in Minnesota. He spent some time in the minors. It's not like he was playing a ton. For Kipper, it's a number of things. He's an odd guy. Maybe it's been the years of the wear and tear. Maybe it's just a mental aspect, or maybe he's just he transcends like a normal guy and just got a little older, and that's why the numbers have gone south this year. And don't forget, he has been the biggest masking agent on a pretty bad team for a lot of years. A team that has overachieved, frankly, to get to 9th or 10th place. And this year, with the defense being as bad as it is, it's there's just no way to soften the blow.
No, of course not. And on this team right now, they didn't name a captain. They have 3 alternates in Mike Camilleri, Mark Giordano, and Curtis Glenacross. Going into 2013-2014, Andrew, do you think one of these guys will be given the seat, or will it be another year of alternates again?
I don't think either one would surprise me. I think Giordano's the guy still. He hasn't had a great year, but I still think that he is likely to be the guy. He was already deemed an untouchable by Jay Feaster. He's a fan favorite. He cares, which is important. You don't always have to be the best player. Curtis Glenacross is going to be in that mix, certainly to wear a letter. I think Dennis Wideman is certainly the defenseman with the most tenure now, and he's here for another 4 years after this one. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the mix as well. But it's one of those things. I mean, when you're naming a captain, and fans and media can speculate all they want, we don't necessarily see what goes on in the room. So it's a guess. To me, I still think Giordano is probably the guy.
Marginal. Okay. Of course, now this year, the Flames, of course, we already know they're going to be a lottery team, of course. Now, if they don't get a Nate McKinnon or a Seth Jones, who do you think this team will end up drafting come June in New Jersey at draft time, Andrew?
Well, you look at that top pick, and from the things you read and from the people you talk to, I think there's a consensus for, right? There's Seth Jones, there's Barkov, there's McKinnon, and there's Drouin. Now, when you're a team like the Calgary Flames, sometimes it's almost silly to say, well, they need this position or they need that position, because quite frankly, they need all positions. But it is a franchise that has been lacking a center since Joe Nieuwendyk, which is incredible when you really think about it.
Of course.
It's important to be in that top 4. Now, they won last night in Colorado, so right now they're tied for 3rd, and Carolina and Tampa are in that mix too. It's unacceptable, quite frankly, to pick 5th overall. You need to be in that top 4. But let's say you do, and let's say you have your pick. I know here in Calgary we're already looking into a lot of draft stuff, and I'm trying to develop exactly a thought process or an opinion. I think Seth Jones is the best player available. But a name that really intrigues me more so than any of them is Alexander Barkov. He translates a little bit into kind of an Anze Kopitar type of guy, and I talked to a couple of scouts last week that seem to think that Nathan McKinnon, who's kind of the golden child for a lot of people, he might eventually translate into the National Hockey League as a winger. And a lot of people just kind of automatically assume that this guy is going to be playing up the middle, right, a la Jonathan Toews. There's more than one scout that think that this guy could be a winger at the NHL level, and Alexander Barkov, meaning out of that top 4, he might be the only true centerman that 10 years from now will be, taking face-offs and playing against the other team's top lines. So Barkov is certainly a name to watch if you're the Calgary Flames. And again, it all depends on where they pick, and if Colorado finishes strong, or Florida, or Tampa, or Carolina, or who knows, maybe even a Nashville or something slips into there. But I'm not necessarily pegging Barkov for the Flames, but I am watching with great interest where they end up.
And they should be, Andrew. Of course, now with the draft lottery format, do you like the fact that now every non-playoff team has a shot at this now, as opposed to the bottom 5 teams being the lottery? Do you like this new format change?
Yeah, I think so. I think it eliminates the tanking mentality a little bit, if that ever existed. I don't necessarily think it did. I don't necessarily buy into everybody has a chance, because if you finish 9th in the conference and you get that last chance, you have less than a 1% chance of jumping all the way up. I don't mind it, but I think over a sample size of 5 to 10 years, it's going to be interesting because somewhere along the line, there's going to be that 7th or 8th place team that has a 5% chance of the first overall pick that bucks the trends and gets it. And I think that's going to be an exciting day and franchise changer. And so I like theater. My favorite draft lottery of all time was the Sidney Crosby one after the lockout, where everybody had a chance to get him. And everybody was waiting with bated breath. And, the Oilers and the Flames, I believe that year had 21 and 22, or 22 and 23, and the final two ended up being Pittsburgh and Anaheim. I believe that the bad teams need the best picks, and so I do like the fact that you can only drop one spot. But so, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I think it adds a little element of intrigue, and I know here on the 29th, we are going to be doing, a draft lottery party and all that, which is something that Calgary's never had, so it's going to be pretty exciting.
No, I can imagine it'll be very exciting there. I want to touch back quickly here, Andrew, on the Jerome McGinley trade. Of course, very emotional to see Ginla get dealt to, well, first the Boston Bruins, as reported by Aaron Ward, and then to the Penguins. But do you believe that the Flames got back what they could have, or could they have gotten more back of this Penguins roster in this deal, Andrew?
Oh, no, there's no question. A year ago, 2 years ago, you're looking at a huge return, and that's the biggest story in all of this. And it's not to dwell on it, I mean, we do our talk shows here and all that, and what are you going to do? Yes, I mean, it's fact they should have traded them 2 years ago, and this whole rebuild process would have got a gigantic kick in the ass if they did, but they didn't. And the return is underwhelming when you consider, that this guy is going to walk into the Hall of Fame as soon as he retires. But it's my belief that certainly 2 years ago, maybe even a year ago, you are talking about, I mean, look what the Buffalo Sabres got for Jason Pominville, who is a very good player, but not a great player. He's in his prime. He's making 5.3. He's got a year left. This was a guy that got Matt Hackett, who is a terrific prospect goaltender, that could be your guy in the future. You got Johan Larsson, who projects, to be a player, to be a solid top 9 player in the NHL. You got a first-round pick. You got a second-round pick. I mean, that is a big return, and that's what you would have gotten a year ago for Jerome McGinley. And as a result, you got a couple of NCAA kids who may or may not pan out, but certainly weren't in the top 9 or 10 of Pittsburgh prospects, and you got a first-round pick that has a great chance of being 30th overall. This return, in a lot of ways, is what the Oilers got for Ryan Smith. And there's the example, because while Smith meant just as much to Edmonton as Jerome McGinley did to Calgary, no one's going to compare the two as players. I mean, Ryan Smith is not a Hall of Famer, Jerome McGinley is, but you got the same return, and that's just a great example of why and how the Flames waited far too long.
No, of course. I'm sure if you're Jay Feaster, you go back to the fans, you say, we traded away Jerome, we brought back two guys who were in the NCAA who may or may not be busts. I mean, you're probably sweating trying to go back to your fans with that, of course.
Yeah, the fans are ready, though. The fans are ready, but they were still underwhelmed, and that's the thing, right? I mean, that's it. You look like that's it. That's all we got for this guy after all those years. At the same time, you still had to do it. I can't criticize Jay Feaster for what he got this year. He wanted the Boston deal. He ended up getting the Pittsburgh deal because of McGinley. You can't criticize him for what he got this year. The critique in all of this is that you should have done it 2 years ago. And that probably, at the end of the day, wasn't Jay Feaster's call. So is it underwhelming? Yes. But the fact is he had 13 games, or whatever it was, 17 games left as a member of the Calgary Flames, and he was gone. He was not re-signing here. They talked extension. It wasn't going to work. So here's the thing. You can either have Jerome McGinley for 15 more games, and everyone can feel good about themselves. He can score a few more goals in this death march that is the Flames season, or you can have Agostino, Hanowski, and a late first-round pick. It's your choice.
It is very true. It is your choice, Andrew. And Andrew, been a blast having you on, man. So what's on the show for this week? What do you guys have planned with you, Dean and Rhett?
What is going on this week? Well, we have some Masters talk. Certainly, round one is Thursday. We get geared up for that. It's a challenge now because now that the trade deadline is over for the Flames, the only question is where do they finish, and they're not making the postseason. So we're watching guys like Sven Baertschi. We're watching guys like Roman Horak and TJ Brody and Roman Chervenka, who's a UFA, to see where these guys might fit in. What else is going on? Jeremy Roenick's going to be on the show this week.
Nice.
Keep an eye on the playoff race. I know, teams like the Edmonton Oilers and the Columbus Blue Jackets are trying to make a last ditch run, and also we got a handicap. We got to pick our teams for the playoffs coming up and figure out who we like. I know Robin Revere's a friend of the show, so he's trying to win his first cup in LA. Jerome McGinley, obviously, a lot of people will be rooting for him now that he's in Pittsburgh. So a lot of stuff like that, and of course the Blue Jays, who we're big fans of, but haven't got off to a great start. So hopefully they can pick it up, and we'll Fox and Jays too.
Of course, I was down there for a 13-zip game, and to have 41,000 fans booing, that was deafening, Andrew. It's in the Rogers Center.
I know. I saw your Twitter. I saw you were there. Yeah, I'm a big Jays guy too. It's kind of the only team I actually really cheer for and live and die with anymore. So I don't like the 2-5 start, but that is the beauty of baseball, is that it's a long road, and you know what, Jays fans and people in Toronto, they're so excited for a winner that they're getting a little ahead of themselves, and that happens too.
No, it most definitely does. Calgary sometimes. See you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, just give me a call, and then anytime you need us.
Of course, Andrew. Talk to you later, man.
Yeah, thanks, Avry.
Yeah. Andrew Walker from the Fan 960 down in Calgary. Great stuff. Some Flames talk. A little bit of Blue Jays talk afterwards. Good.